This meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Susie.
Mr. Amaral?
Here.
Mr. Bendigo?
I am here.
Mrs. Kleffel?
I'm here.
Mrs. Lash?
Here.
Mr. Mole?
Here.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Here.
Mr. Rossi?
Here.
Mrs. Steinke?
Here.
Mr. Wieant?
Here.
1.3, approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the October 27th, 2025, and the special meeting on November 10th, 2025.
So moved, Kleffel.
Second.
Second, Lash.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. 1.4, announcement of executive session. The board met in executive following the committee meeting for personnel, legal, and student matters, and the board will have an executive session afterwards tonight. 1.5, special recognition of outgoing board members.
Thank you, Mr. Mole. The district would like to just take a few minutes and recognize our three outgoing board members, Mr. Bendigo, Mrs. Kleffel, Mr. O'Donnell. I'd like to share some remarks about each of you, and then we have a special gift and presentation as well. So, Mr. Bendigo, on behalf of the entire district, I want to thank you for your 12 years of dedicated service to the school board. Your commitment to our students, our staff, and our community has shaped meaningful progress across our schools. Your previous leadership as vice president of the board and current leadership as chair of the Policy, Personnel, and Public Relations Committee has guided thoughtful decisions and strengthened collaboration throughout the district. Your steady vision and unwavering support will have a lasting impact on our educational mission and on the families we serve. We are deeply grateful for your time, your integrity, and your steadfast commitment to public education. Thank you. And
Thank you.
thank you. And if you would step forward, directly in front of where you're seated is an Adirondack chair that has been made by the students in our technology education classes. And that is a gift that we present to you, as well as a card. And if you'd come forward, I'd love to get Mrs. Manzer, either get a picture of you standing beside it or seated in it, whatever your preference.
Yeah, I'm not sitting in mine.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. Our next outgoing board member is Mrs. Nikki Kleffel. Mrs. Kleffel, on behalf of the entire district, I want to thank you for your 8 years of dedicated service to the Schuylkill Valley School District as a school director. Your steady leadership, thoughtful decision-making, and genuine care for our students and staff has made a lasting impact on the community. Your work as board liaison to the Berks County Tax Collection Committee and as chair of the Budget and Finance Committee has been vital in ensuring that our district remains fiscally responsible while always keeping students at the center of every financial decision. On behalf of the entire Schuylkill Valley School District, thank you for your service and your leadership. Your contributions will be felt for many years to come. And we also have an Adirondack chair for you and would like to capture this picture also. And then our third outgoing board member is Mr. Brian O'Donnell. Mr. O'Donnell, on behalf of the entire district, I want to thank you for your 4 years of dedicated service to the Schuylkill Valley School District as a school director. Your thoughtful leadership and consistent presence have made a meaningful difference for our students, staff, and community. Your work as chair of the Buildings and Grounds Committee has been especially impactful, helping to ensure that our facilities are safe, well-maintained, and supportive of high-quality teaching and learning. Your careful attention to both immediate needs and long-term improvements has strengthened the foundation of our schools. On behalf of the entire Schuylkill Valley School District, thank you for your service, your steady support, and your dedication to the success of all Schuylkill Valley students. And we have an Adirondack chair for you as well. Thank you again, Mr. Bendigo, Mrs. Kleffel, and Mr. O'Donnell for your service.
Moving on to 1-6, recognition of students and staff. This is always a really neat time of the year. The board is pleased to recognize, and I'm going to call Mrs. Seymour up, and I'm going to go several of our middle school students who's in the art classes whose designs were chosen to represent the school district in the holiday cards. Just turn it around. Okay, that's fine.
Good evening. Tonight, we have the pleasure of recognizing some very talented young artists who have won our school's card-making contest. Creativity showcases the importance of thoughtful connection and community engagement, principles that align with our mission, in one way specifically to be responsible and contributing members of society, the workforce, and the future. We believe these acts of kindness and care, such as creating a personalized card, foster warmth and connection. Please join me in welcoming our winners and families. And we'd like to start with our 8th grade students. When your name is called, please come up by Mrs. Seymour and stand next to your picture for a photo. Although the gift is your work itself, we have something for you to share and to thank you. Ellie Wieand? In addition to the photo being framed and enlarged, the board has given the student a gift as well. Next in 7th grade, Carly Edwards. From the 6th grade, Samuel Ketterer. From the 5th grade, Charlotte Gilmore. I'd like not only to thank Mrs. Seymour for all she does for this and so many projects at school, but also welcome her for a moment just to talk about this wonderful process.
Dr. Winters, the school board, the community, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity just to showcase their talents, but to support us as an arts community, it is just so really neat because my theme this year was the 7 C's. And as you look around, you don't even see any mention of the C's. It's just really heartwarming to know that the tradition lives. The Christmas spirit, the holiday spirit, it's a tradition that we can just keep going and going. And it's because of you guys supporting us. We're very thankful for that. This is more than just a contest. It is a project and it is a fundraiser. And for them to have just like the outline of ideas, and then they see it come into a version, and then a final version, and then finally a product that they can frame, is just something that they are going to remember always. And just like the traditions that we honor and we have in our heart, that's what keeps us going. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for always supporting this program. You can tell that the pride of our arts is the reflection of our society. Thank you.
Moving on, so for those who want to stay, we'll give applause. You have other board activities, but for those parents and kids who want to leave if they have homework. Oh, for those parents or kids, if you have homework, you're free to go. Make sure you get cookies on your way. Oh, there are cookies and there's water out in the lobby outside.
Want to get some cookies? Yeah, here I thought when we came walking in with Linda, I was like, oh, we're trying to draw more people to school board meetings. Putting cookies in the water. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Seymour.
Mrs. Seymour.
I almost ran you over there.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
It's okay, it's all good.
I know, man. It's like, jeez.
I think we're all here again. 1.7 presentations. We have some building assessment data presentations from the building administrators, and then PASA, PSBA presentation from Dr. Shannon O'Donnell. You're looking for the clicker. I don't have it.
Do not have the clicker.
All right, good evening. So every year, the state provides its Future Ready Index right around this time of the year. And in that Future Ready Index, it is comprised of data from the 2024-2025 school year. And so there is data for individual buildings, and then there's some school-wide data as well. There's a range of data like attendance, which happens to be a lagging indicator. So if you look at the Future Ready Index, you'll see that that's actually from the 23-24 school year, as is the graduation rate. But it also provides information like the career standards benchmark and performance and growth on state assessments, including the percentage of students scoring advanced on their state assessments. So there's a wealth of data that's there, and it is broken down by individual buildings. The data for the school district and the individual buildings is also reporting economically disadvantaged students, students who are English language learners, by ethnicity, our percent enrollment by gender. So there's a lot of demographic kinds of information there as well. The one piece of information that we as principals really look at is the growth measure, because what we are looking at is how our students are growing from year to year. So we would like to say that from the time a student enters a grade level, they grow 1 year by the time they leave that grade level. And so this growth data will show us not necessarily how they're performing on the state test, but how much they've grown. Whether they've grown 1 year, more than 1 year, or if they've actually not grown a year in that school year. And that really gives us a good measure of how we're doing in our schools. So what it shows is that it will indicate that in a blue, green, or red. So if it's blue, that means that they've grown more than, or there's evidence that they've grown more than 1 year. If it's green, that means that they've grown a year. And if it's red, that means that there's some pretty good evidence that they haven't made a year's worth of growth in that year of schooling. So the principals are going to come up and they're going to share their data with you. In addition to showing their growth data, they are going to give you some other indicators that we have, because as we know, it's important to look at more data than just one indicator. So one of the really nice things that we have done as we've been adopting our new curriculum and our new resources is we have a lot more data to actually show how our students are doing, and our teachers are able to look at that data and then prescribe what will work best to help our students do better and learn those skills that they may be deficient in. So in the data that they're going to show, in addition to their growth data, they will show you things like KEI, which we gave for the first time this year in kindergarten, which was an indicator of how our students are coming into us in kindergarten. You'll see some benchmark data. We actually put in place some language arts benchmarks for our students this year. We said that every student in K-8 was going to have the IRLA done so that they had their reading level by October 3rd. And we had some writing benchmarks that were put in place. So you'll see some of that data tonight as well. As we know, there is a lot of math data. However, this is the first year that we're using the math resources that we have. So I believe the middle school is going to show you a little bit of what that looks like, but that was not something that all of the buildings were ready to be able to show yet, because the teachers are still learning how to use all that data. And the high school is actually going to show you their AP data so that you can see how our students are doing on their AP testing. So the elementary school is first, so I'm going to call Dr. O'Donnell up to share.
Okay, starting with the elementary school's growth, as you can see in English Language Arts for the 24-25 school year, we are very proud to report that all students, all subgroups met the state growth standard. Our academic growth score at the elementary school was a 77, which was above the state growth standard of 70 and the statewide average of 75.4. And so students in that area are making strong year-to-year growth in ELA. For mathematics for the 24-25 school year, I think it's safe to say that we exceed the state growth standard with an academic growth score of 96, which is well above the state growth standard of 70 and the statewide average of 74.9. So we're very proud of our students for that growth. And then looking at some benchmark data to start off this school year, as you all know, we have our new English language arts curriculum in place, and we are using the American Reading Company, as Ms. Rexroad had mentioned, that we use the IRLA assessment, that stands for the Independent Reading Level Assessment. You can see at the start of the school year the number of students and the percentage of students in each grade level that completed their IRLA assessment prior to that October 3rd date, and how many students in each grade level are meeting the standard for that grade level at the beginning of the school year. We also did a kindergarten entry inventory for the first time this year at the elementary school. And in reviewing that data with the kindergarten team, we identified some academic needs, developmental needs, and strengths of our students as they're entering kindergarten. So some of the academic needs in literacy are print concepts, phonological awareness, and phonics. And that's really just understanding that letters are words and hearing and manipulating sounds and connecting sounds to letters. Another need as our students are entering kindergarten is early writing, so the stages of writing and the writing process. And that's really just in kindergarten, the progression from drawing to forming letters and then words. And then in numeracy, counting, naming numbers, identifying shapes, operations, and algebraic thinking. And that's really, again, in kindergarten, just basic number sense, recognizing numbers and shapes, and beginning to solve simple problems. Some developmental needs that we identified from the KEI is receptive and expressive language, collaborative communication, and fine and gross motor skills. And our kindergarten teachers are working closely with both school counselors and our Second Steps program to meet some of those developmental needs. Some strengths that were identified out of the KEI is our social emotional skills in kindergarten, and that's their ability to collaborate, the curiosity that they bring with them when they enter kindergarten, and their self-awareness. So those are some benchmarks for the elementary school. Questions?
I do have a question, Shannon.
Yes.
So this is for 24-25, so this was before we had,
The growth model data was from 24-25. The benchmark data is for the start of this school year.
okay, so the stuff that we had for 24-25, what were we using to collect that data?
That data came from the Future Ready Index. That's from our PSSA. That's reported by the state.
Okay, so that wasn't internal data, that was all external data?
Correct.
Okay, so what internal data did we have from that year to compare that? Like, so we no longer have AR. We, don't have some of the testing that we previously had. So going forward, I guess my question is, what will we be using in place of those items that we no longer have?
So the growth model that was reported on and benchmark data are two different types of data. So we will always have growth data every year that we can report on and compare. And then in regards to benchmark data, we will use the ERLA assessment, and that's the data that you see at the beginning there. And then eventually we will report on the ALEX data, which is part of our new math curriculum that is just starting this year. And as long as we have those curriculums in place, that is the internal data that we'll be able to report on year after year.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Not really. It's not your fault. It's.
I'm going to ask Mrs. Rexroad to speak to this.
I guess I'm just hearing a lot of things that our teachers are wishing that we had some of the metrics that we used to have that we don't have anymore. And I want to make sure that we can still, meet those needs and make sure that our kids are not falling behind. Going through COVID, we have so many children that have fallen behind because of those situations. And I just don't want to see them slip through the cracks. If they don't, learn to read and to do math at your level, it just keeps compounding and getting harder as we move up. So I don't want to see anyone struggle because we're missing something,
So
that
one
we're
of
not
the
catching it.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the exciting things is that we now actually have a lot more data than we had in the past. So with the ERLA that we are using to identify every student's grade reading level, that is actually an assessment that the teacher and the student do side by side. That is something that the teacher is doing with the student. I know you mentioned accelerated reader. That was something where a student read a book, was put on a computer to answer some multiple choice questions about the book, and that's how they determined a reading level. But the ERLA is actually taking what the student is doing in real time. They are identifying words, they're reading a passage, they're answering questions that the teacher is asking. If the student doesn't seem to be understanding the question, they can rephrase it. They can ask them in a different way. They can move up or down within the level to see if there's a better reading level for them. They can talk with them about vocabulary and focus on vocabulary and fluency. So there's a lot in that ERLA that a teacher is able to do one-on-one with a student or in a small group with students, as opposed to a computer-based assessment, which was what we were using in the past for ELA. With math, as Dr. O'Donnell mentioned, We have the ALEX assessment now that our students are all using. That is something that the students, they get an initial, they'll do an assessment in the beginning. Now that is on a computer. That will identify all of the areas that students are in need in math, the concepts that they should know at that point, whatever grade level it is. And then they can spend time drilling and practicing. And then teachers can also, because they get that ALEX data, they can actually look at that and then focus a small group on some of the things. Like if there's 5 students who are struggling with doubles in their fact fluency. So they could actually put those students then together and work with them on something on that concept that they are struggling with. And then in addition, with the math program that we are using, there are a number of different assessments that are part of the actual math program. They're doing a readiness diagnostic every time that they're starting a new unit so that we know where students are when they're starting. And then if students are above the standard or where that grade level is or what that concept is, they can provide them some enrichment while the other students are working. They can divide them into small groups so they can work with students who are struggling. So we actually have a lot more data in place now than we had in the past. And the KEI data that Dr. O'Donnell mentioned, that was something that I really appreciate Dr. O'Donnell and the kindergarten teachers in being willing to implement this year. That was something in addition to what they did before, but it really gave us a sense of where our students were when they came in. And the nice thing about that is it wasn't actually additional testing. They could use anything that they were already using, and then all they had to do was then record that information. It actually gave them like a database to record the information. So as they were doing that reading testing with students, they could put that in the database so that they had record of where those students were. As they were watching their fine and gross motor skills in process, they could make note of that, and other teachers could actually contribute to that. So with that fine and gross motor, like the Mr. Reiner could say, hey, I noticed this student doing this, and tell his teacher, and then that could go in that inventory. So that was a really nice way for us to gather all of that, because I can say at the county level, as curriculum coordinators, one of the things that a lot of us have been talking about is not really having a sense of where kids are when they're coming to us. And we did a little bit of that before students actually start kindergarten. We did like letters, numbers, and a couple other things with them, but this is really a lot more comprehensive. So that was a nice thing that we put in place this year too. And again, I have to give kudos to them because that was a lot of work for them to do it, especially being the first year and being in those first 45 days of school that they had to collect that data. That was a heavy lift, but I think it was really worth it for the information that we got from it.
And Jenny, just one more quick question. You know, I'm an engineer and I work in the healthcare industry, so I love data. I also get a little concerned when data is only coming from one place. So I love the fact that we have internal data, which we didn't really have before. But how do we know, I mean, we're seeing how we're doing internally. How do we know how these ERLA and ALEX results and progress compare to other like nationwide or statewide standards?
So what I would say is that, and there are some state benchmark assessments that they use that are created by the same people who create our PSSA and our Keystones. So that is something that we can look to in the future that we can use to then say, okay, like here's what we're seeing. Is that translating to what the test might look like? Since it's really the first year that we're really collecting this data, it's probably going to take a little bit before we start, because anytime that there's a lot of research that says that anytime you implement new programming, new curriculum, it probably takes around 3 years before you're actually going to see a lot of benefit from that, just because, you know, everybody's learning it in the beginning and it's different for students. And one of the things that we see this year is our students, especially at the upper levels, at the middle and the high school, our students are missing a bunch of skills that they need. So we're noticing that we're having to go back. So like the sixth grade curriculum might say, or the sixth grade program might say that this is what comes next. And there are these prerequisite skills that students needed in order to access that, and they're missing them. So we're having to go back and fill those in. So logically, as students are progressing through the program, they're catching up with all of those things, and then we're going to see a lot more benefit from it. So we also have, the state is great in providing some different exemplars so we can see what, we can practice what the writing might look like. There is an online tools training that students go through before they take the online PSSA or Keystone. That is a little bit of a practice that they can do. So there's a lot of things in place that we can do. The one thing I didn't want to do this year was give them another test. We're implementing all of that this year. So at some of the secondary grade levels, like in 8th grade and at the high school level, they're using the CDT, which is a diagnostic assessment that the state provides, done by the same people who write the PSSA and the Keystone, that actually provide an idea of where students are deficient and what they need to work on. So we're using it in some grade levels at the upper because they were already using it, so they're continuing to use it in middle school and high school. But at the elementary level, they have new English, they have new math, they have the new science, and their teachers are teaching at least two of those subjects, if not 3. So the last thing I wanted to do was, okay, now we're gonna also give this assessment. So next year, after we're 2 years in on ELA, that might be a great time to say, okay, why don't we try one of these state assessments? Because we're seeing all this data and this internal data, and it's looking good, but let's see how that looks against what the state test is going to look like and see how we're doing.
Yeah, and I understand that. It's going to take a little bit to get it up off the ground. I just wanted to make sure we keep our eye on the ball, because at the end of the day, they are a company, they sell a product, so they're basically rating themselves potentially on how well students are performing. So we would all hope that all that data is correct and that they're coming from the right place there. But having kind of an independent check and balance is just something that I think moving forward, as we start to deploy more of these new curricula that we kind of keep that in mind, that with the Alex and the Erla, they are technically evaluating themselves as a company. So independent data to validate that is important.
And that's one of the nice things too, that we have people coming in to work with our teachers every month. Jen Joyce, for example, she's coming from the IU to work with them on the math. She has nothing to do with McGraw-Hill. So although I think the teachers at first were a little like, oh, because they had questions about the program implementation, but I can get those answers from McGraw-Hill directly. She's helping them to say, okay, like, you have this data now, what does this mean? And she's looking ahead with them and saying, okay, what's coming next? Let's plan for that, and working through all that with them, which I think is nice to have that outside person to be looking at what they're doing. And if there's something that's happening that doesn't seem quite right, she's able to help them work through it. So I think that that's really been helpful too. And Stacy Dunleavy's coming in to help our science teachers every couple months. Again, the ones that are implementing Open SciEd, which is a heavy lift. So we're really trying to not just say, okay, we're putting all our eggs in one basket and saying like this McGraw-Hill product is the best thing and we're just going with that, but say, how can we make sure we have those checks and balances? So I think we're going in the right direction, and I know that all of the principals are really focused on this data and making sure that they're in the classrooms, they're seeing what's happening, they're looking at this data, and I know that they're really keeping an eye on what's happening and making sure that we're moving in the right direction.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
I'll go. Right there. How often are the teachers themselves reviewing this data amongst themselves, and what does that look? I mean, this might be a building level question too. What does that look like? Are they meeting every quarter, weekly, monthly? What does that look like?
So that's partly a building level question. So what I'm going to say is, because we also have the middle school and the high school yet to come, I'll have them talk about that with you.
That's fine.
But I will say that there are, we've identified several benchmarks throughout the quarter and the year for them to be constantly looking at. So I know at the elementary school, they have like their common time at the beginning of the day, and the grade levels have common planning time. And I know that they're constantly talking with each other. I know at the middle school, they have team time. So there probably are times when they're doing that, but that certainly is better. Was that the answer?
Well, they're reviewing it
Yeah.
through PD that's happening,
Yeah.
and the 810 time, it's their
Yeah.
data.
Yeah.
They have it.
Yeah.
We don't report to them. They're actually reporting their data.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, are they meeting amongst themselves? Is there something meeting with building principals to kind of go over and like really dive into this data and like, okay, where are some strengths, where are some weaknesses? Is there things we have to tweak as we're moving along here? That's really where my question is.
And so a lot
I
of that
understand they're
is-
collecting it. I'm
Yeah,
just
a
saying.
lot of that is happening when we have the outside consultants coming in and working with them, because that's a time when they're all talking about their data. But then again, the grade levels or the teams at the middle school or the math teachers at the high school, they have common time. At the elementary school, it's 8:10 to 8:40. And then at the middle school, they have their team time when they're sitting and can do that, and their grade level has that same time. At the high school, they have 2:35 to 3 o'clock that they could meet if they don't have common time during the day. So they definitely have time, but yes, as Dr. O'Donnell said, they're collecting that data, so they certainly are reviewing the data for their own students. But then in addition to that, yes, it's great to be able to say, because I know myself, if I see that my student struggled on this thing, but that teacher, her students did really well on that, I might say, what did you do to do that? Like, I might steal that from you. So just like we know students work well collaboratively and steal things from each other and help each other out, I feel like teachers are the same way. If they see that someone else is doing something really well, you know, they collaborate really well and say, oh yeah, like, how did you do that? Let me do that, you know, so that my students can, you know, because it just might not have been something that they thought of. So there is time built in the day, and I think that also that time every month that we're working with those outside consultants is another time that they're taking a look at that data and talking about it and saying, you know, my students really struggled. I hear that a lot when we have those meetings. My students really struggled with whatever it might, like fact fluency is a big topic. My students are really struggling with fact fluency. They'll say to Jen Joyce, like, what is something that, you know, we could do to help with fact fluency, because that's not going as well for us as we'd like it to. So, and she'll talk to them about the importance of, it's not necessarily the speed, but it's the accuracy. So not worrying so much about the speed of knowing your math facts, but the accuracy of knowing your math facts. And let's get the accuracy down first before we worry about how quickly we can do that. So those are just some examples of some of the things that they'll have those conversations with her.
What do those meetings look like? Are they meeting with individual teachers? Are they meeting with a block of a group at a time, or
So-
how's that?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm asking billing level questions. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So at the elementary school, like the growth model that I had spoke about, that is for our fourth grade teachers, because students have to take the PSSA 2 years in a row for the state to be able to create that data. And there was 3 years where it has to be 3 years, and there was a period following COVID where there was no data to be able to create that growth data. Now that we have that, those will be individual meetings with teachers, and we actually were just at a training at the BCIU in this past month, and we had already reviewed individually each of our teachers. So in the elementary school building, it will only be meetings with the fourth grade teachers, because no other teachers at the elementary school have that individual data. But this year, because we actually have that data to share with individual teachers, that will be done privately with them to make sure that they understand how it's tracked, how the data is collected, and set some goals for moving forward. But up to this point, at least in my time at the elementary school, we've not had that data to discuss with individual teachers in regards to PSSA and the growth model.
And I think to answer the other part of your question, when those consultants come in, they meet with the grade levels individually. It depends. Sometimes it's half the grade level, sometimes it's the whole grade level. It just depends on the timing of the day and how much we can do that. But they're meeting with her for about 45 minutes, sometimes longer, and they're meeting with some of their their grade level other teachers, and they're meeting with her and then are able to talk about their data and ask questions and plan ahead and do those things. So at the middle school level, we are fortunate that all of the teachers in that grade level are able to meet at one time, and at the high school, the same thing. The elementary, it's a little bit more challenging because it's more teachers that are teaching the same subject area.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have trend data from past years? I saw that this year we had a 77, I think you said. And one of your first slides had some information for this year, yeah. Yeah.
So what Dr. O'Donnell was sharing is that for growth data, we don't have trend data, and mainly that's because, how should I explain? So PVOS is actually based on 3 years of consistent data. So this is actually the first year that we have 3 years of consistent data to be able to share because of COVID. So this is the first year that we are able to take a look at those 3 years of data. So it breaks it down, as Dr. O'Donnell was saying, by teacher. So we actually know each teacher, and based on that score, we know whether their students are growing, whether they're growing more than the year, whether they're not quite making that growth, whether they're at the year's worth of growth. And then we can look at 3 years of data for them. So technically, I guess when I'm saying that, there are 3 years of data, but if you're looking at individual teacher data, this is the first year that we actually have the 3 years of data to share with teachers because of COVID.
How do these numbers compare to our pre-COVID numbers?
So that I would have to take a look. That was actually pre-me. So I'll have to see if I have access to that, but I can provide that information if you would like it.
It would just be interesting to see where the trend is and how close we are to pre-COVID numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Middle school?
I only had one question. The kindergarten entry inventory, the KEI,
Yeah.
do we do anything for any of our other new students coming in to set a base level? So if somebody coming into second grade or first grade or sixth grade or 10th grade, do we try to, as they come in, give them some type of assessment so we can kind of know where they're at to try to get them, if needed, early intervention to say, oh, they're coming from this school, but this kid is ahead or this kid is behind. So I know kindergarten was like, hey, we're bringing them all in because it's fresh. But I just didn't know, because I know we have a lot of transitional students, I guess is my phrase that I'll say.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if we have tools for that. And we have other topics that, the other schools might bring it up. I just wanted to ask if we
Well,
did that.
in ELA, we would always give the students the ERLA to determine their reading level. And in math, they would take that ALEX assessment because that would give us an idea of what math concepts that they are strong in and which ones they need some assistance with. And then from there, then the teacher can take a look at that and determine what they might need. I know at the middle school level, for example, they have time at the end of the day that is dedicated to students who need additional time with some concepts. So that might mean that they get some time in there to work with the teachers in a small group. But I would say those two things would be the things that we try to do pretty quickly upon students' arrival. And having that ERLA information is really important because with the resources we're using, students actually are able to then, once they have that reading level, they're selecting an independent text that's on their level so that they're working with that, and then their teacher is talking to them about that and working with that through them. And then in the classroom as a whole, they're reading on grade level, but then if individual students are below grade level or above grade level, then they're able to read a text that's at that level so that they're able to, that helps them to increase their reading level.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Gabralik. There we go.
There's our middle.
So for the middle school, when we were looking at the PA Future Ready Index and what what information was provided, for English Language Arts for the 24-25 school year, all students exceeded the state growth standard. We had a score of 83, which was above the state growth standard of 70 and the statewide average of 75.4. Our students are making their year-to-year growth in ELA and exceeding both the state standard and the statewide growth standard. For mathematics, our students did not meet the state growth standard. Our students scored a 50, which is below the state growth standard of 70 and the statewide average of 74.9. Some of the things that we are working on at a building level is really working to improve those math outcomes by adopting a new state-aligned curriculum and resources, ensuring that there is consistent K through algebra sequencing, using those common resources, and using regular benchmarking to monitor the progress and guide instruction within our math classrooms. Okay, let me see. Is that that? Okay. I wanted to point out some of the things that we are doing, some of the data that we are beginning to collect at the middle school level. First of all, the IRLA, which is being done, I believe, in all of our buildings. We do an initial screening in the fall, and then we also do one in the spring, which allows us to be able to start to look at the growth between when our students are coming to us in the fall and when they're leaving the grade level in the spring. And in our initial fall assessment, 30% of our students coming into their grade level were reading on that grade level. So there is opportunity for growth, which you would expect at the beginning of a school year and of a grade level. We also do a writing assessment. There is pre and post writing for each American Reading Company unit. And as you can see, those are our writing assessment scores. The final scores, our students were scoring between 70% to 84.4% on average for their grade level. And I want to emphasize that we will be doing those writing benchmarks and assessments throughout the year to continue to see growth. We do score them using the PSSA rubric, so we're helping our students start to align and think not only about correct writing standards, but we're also helping them understand how they are scored when they are going in to take those PSSA assessments. For math, I wanted to put in here just a few of the things that our teachers are starting to discover within our new math reveal resource. So, and I put in just some pieces of data for different grade levels. So there is the Reveal Benchmark Assessment, and this is 3 to 5 assessments that are based on grade level units. And these are pre-made tests that provide key points in the course and help us understand what our students are understanding of the material that they have completed up to that point. So 5th grade provided me their data. Our 5th grade benchmark 1 average score was a 62.47%, which is what they were seeing when they started the unit. By the end of the unit, the growth was averaging 78.5%. So they are definitely showing growth as they go through, as they went through that first unit. Another one of the pieces of data that we're looking at is the Reveal Readiness Diagnostic, and this assessment is used to determine a student's proficiency in the prerequisite skills that they need for an upcoming unit, and it really helps our teachers start to understand any of those knowledge gaps that are there. For instance, sixth grade, when they were doing Unit 1, they did the Unit 1 readiness diagnostic, and they showed a score of a 31.26, and were able to pull from that data some of those requisite skills that they needed to be able to fill in with before they presented that unit. Additionally, there is the ALEX, which is a self-paced adaptive learning program. This not only has students work through the topics for the year, but it also helps detect and promote and grow some of those skill gaps that students may show. It's AI generated. It learns from the students, and it begins to filter in programming and development of content through how students answer questions. So when I checked in with our 8th grade teachers, they were able to say about a quarter of the way through the school year that 27.33% of the topics for the year were mastered in that 8th grade. So that's where we would expect them to be as they're starting to move through in a quarter level. So we would expect that when we get halfway through the school year, it would be around 50% or a little bit more than 50%. At 3/4 through the school year, 75%, and so on and so forth. Any questions? Sure.
We made a switch at some point in the recent past where we weren't tracking kids in math, and now they're kind of all grouped together, whether they were higher achievers or lower achievers. Now they're grouped together, where in the past we had tracked higher achievers together. Are you seeing an impact from that in our scores?
I don't know yet. I think it's too early to tell. We've only been doing this, I think, for, I want to say, about 2.5 years, I think. Yeah, and it does depend on the grade as well. So I think it's, for some grades, I think it might be easier to tell. We would have to look back on the data, and it's hard to pull. I know, like, for instance, 8th grade. 8th grade was using the CDT data and assessment for several years, and I don't know how yet that CDT data aligns with the reveal data. So I think that's something that we need to look at and compare to see if they are, if having all of our students together and not leveled with their math is making a difference with the skills our students gain.
It seems like if you have a high aptitude student with a lesser aptitude student, and you're waiting, the high aptitude student is waiting for the lesser aptitude student to get caught up, or the whole class is waiting to try to bring everybody along at the same pace when they can move differently. It seems like it's going to be hard to cover all the ground you need to cover to do well in these assessment tests. And so
I think it's also about making sure and working with our teachers to better differentiate within the classroom, to be able to still group school, to do that direct instruction, and then work in groupings to help students that are accelerating continue to excel, help those students that are struggling to continue to grow. I think it's just, it's a new way of thinking about how we do math instruction, but I do think that they are, it's a growth area for us, and that we're working on, and we're continuing to work on it.
do you think it's an efficient use of the teacher's time to have to teach 3 different groups within one classroom, as opposed to just a class at a time?
I don't know. I think it's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of being able to adopt and adapt to what we see in learning. But I also think it's a way to grow as an educator, to be able to say, you know what, I can make this work. I can see how this works. And I think it's about just developing those skills.
Okay. I think we need to keep a close eye on how that's working and make sure we do the look back on and see where the trend is going, because I mean, it's good for the educator to expand their horizons and abilities, but if it's at the detriment of the kids because they're caught up in that learning curve, that maybe it's not a great idea.
Sure.
So appreciate it, Jenny. Thank you.
Sure.
I know we have that 7th grade math that's doing Algebra 1. How are those students doing in that? I mean, my daughter's in that class, but I didn't know how that's looking as a whole
Right.
with them.
I know it's a learning curve. I know that there are definitely gaps that are there that Mr. Grimm has been working to ensure that he's filling in some of those pre-algebraic gaps and some of those concepts. I believe our students are being successful in there. We've been fielding some questions from parents about how we can best support and also balance the work that is expected after school. But I think it's definitely, it's our first year doing that. And I think there are going to be bumps along the way, but those bumps have been worked on with Mr. Grimm to be able to help support those students and continue to provide some more individualized support within the classroom, because there is time within the classroom to be able to do that.
Are those students taking the Keystones at the end of this year?
Yes,
then?
they will
Okay.
be.
That's a goal. And what does that look like for them in 8th grade then?
I don't know if that has yet been determined. Those students will be taking geometry in 8th grade.
For the full year?
For the year, yes. We actually already have purchased those resources for them to do so, so they will have those next year. If a student would happen to not, the one thing that we haven't talked about is, students who may not be successful with the Keystone, we certainly want to do some remediation so that they can take it again and be successful. So we will have to talk about that. My guess would be that would be that time that the middle school has built in at the end of the day, that we would utilize that time to help those students. We can use the ALEX materials that we have to determine where those skills gaps are, and obviously we can analyze the data that we get from the state to determine what the needs are, and then we can meet them during that time so that they can take the Keystone again. Since the Keystone is a test that students can take more than once, we can catch them up and fill those gaps and then have them take it again if they would like to.
Yeah, I know we talked about this at the beginning of the year. I just didn't fill in some of this as we've moved along now with this.
And I will say, Mr. Grimm, in the meetings that we've had with Jen Joyce from the IU, has been, he definitely is one of the ones who he's really using the materials and the data. He's one of the ones who's sitting there going, oh, but this is there and we can use this. And so he's really been diving into all of the resources that are there, which I really appreciate. And he's spoken really highly about the students who are in that class, in those Algebra 1 classes in 7th grade. So from his perspective, it's going really well. I do know that there's some gaps that they certainly need to fill, but I think that, that as you can see from the data that we have, that's the case across the board. So I think it's really exciting for those kids to get that opportunity to be able to do that in 7th grade and accelerate without having to double up later on in their school career, which is what we were trying to avoid.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mrs. Rexer, one quick question before you go. Mostly because this applies to all 3 buildings from what I've seen so far. So we're seeing these growth scores, and we're kind of using that to make sure to see how we're doing. And I love that, because in the past we haven't had that, and that's been a question because we've seen the scores, but we didn't know how we were doing. But at the same time, for example, we didn't meet our growth score in the middle school. It would be nice to know, where are we? Growing is great, but are we growing from the 25th percentile to the 26th percentile? Are we growing from the 95th percentile to the 96th percentile? So just, I guess moving forward, if we could see the actual scores as well, just so we can get an idea where we're growing
Absolutely.
from. I mean, seeing growth is great. That means things are working and things are going
Yeah.
well and we're improving. But it's nice to know just a reference where we're improving from.
And one of the reasons I think that we decided to present this growth data to you tonight is to say, you know, we know that, and I know you guys know because you've done a lot of investment in us in saying, we know that you need new curriculum, we know that you need new resources, and you've been wonderful in getting those for us. So we know that we're behind. So what we want to show is now all of this data that you're seeing is not benefit, like the new math materials did not benefit that because that was from last year. We had 1 year of our new English language arts curriculum and programming that contributed to the data that we have here. But what we wanted to be able to show you is that, you know, we are making growth in the area of language arts with these new materials. As you can see, we didn't make growth in math, but that was before we had the new materials. The elementary school was doing a great job. They were growing their students without the new materials, so, which is awesome. So, but we just really wanted to show you that because we know that our actual achievement scores are showing that we are a little bit behind and trying to catch up. But the growth scores, what we wanted you to see was that we are making at least a year's worth of growth in those areas where you've invested your you know, the school's resources to get us something new so that we can catch our kids up.
Okay, thanks. I like the growth scores because before I would have to go onto the website and look at all the data and try to do all of the analysis myself, and you're comparing apples and oranges, and there's data missing, and
Right.
sometimes 1 year data is
it's-
analyzed one way, and other years analyzed a different way. So
And it's how students did on one test in the span of 2 days or 3 days. So, you know, what we're trying to show is, you know, we're looking at kids and where they are multiple points throughout the year so we can get a better sense of where they are. And when we see that they're struggling, we can catch them then instead of waiting until we get PSSA scores in July and then go, oh, wait, we had some work to do and now it's too late. So that's really what we're trying to show you tonight.
yeah, and I think this would be a nice way of seeing, you know, obviously like we talked about before, it's going to take a little while for the new curriculum to kind of kick in and start having some effect. So I think this will be that number will be a good way to assess just how well that's doing even before it's fully in effect. So thank you again.
Thanks, John.
Okay, so that is a little bit hard for you to see, so I'll do my best to go over it. But this data represents the cohort that will graduate this coming June 2026. For English language arts, all student groups did not meet the standard demonstrating growth with an academic growth score of 56. In mathematics or algebra, the student group met the standard demonstrating growth with the score of 72. And then the science, we do not have data available. There was no data available for the science because these state standards were recently revised and will align to assessments that have not yet been administered. For English language arts, the new ELA curriculum was not in place prior to the testing window for this cohort. With the new art curriculum that is now fully implemented in grades 9 through 12, we anticipate meaningful improvements in this year's results and continued growth over time with the use of that curriculum. For math, our high school achieved an academic growth score that exceeds the statewide growth standard. With the curriculum updates that were made over the past 2 years, we are optimistic that this upward trend in math will continue to be an achievement for us. So the high school had a total of 162 students take AP exams in May. Up on the screen, you will see all the number of students achieving a 3 or higher and the number of students who took the exam. This year's advanced placement results reflect the dedication of our students and the strength of our academic programs. Across a wide range of rigorous AP courses, students demonstrated commendable achievement, with many excelling at or above the benchmark score of 3. Several courses stood out for exceptionally strong performance. AP US Government and Politics saw the highest number of successful scores, with 24 out of 28 students earning a 3 or higher. Social Studies overall remained a strong area, as AP US History and AP World History also posted impressive results, with 18 out of 22 and 19 out of 19 students respectively achieving that 3 score or higher. In the sciences and math, numerous students distinguished themselves as well. AP Biology, AP Calculus AB, AP Calculus BC, and AP Statistics all saw the majority of the students reach proficiency benchmark. Computer science offerings were similarly strong, with AP Computer Science A and AP Computer Science Principles showing solid success rates. While some of our more specialized STEM exams, particularly those in physics, had smaller testing groups and more modest numbers qualifying scores, they represent ambitious course selections by students who are challenging themselves with college-level material in demanding subjects. Overall, the data reflects a school culture that encourages academic rigor and supports students in taking on meaningful challenges. With high achievement across core disciplines and continued participation in advanced coursework, our AP program remains a vital pathway preparing students for future academic success. Moving into this school year, we have 136 students enrolled in 214 AP exams for this coming spring.
Do you have the stats for, because a lot of the colleges now are requiring either a 4 or a 5 if they want to count it. Do we have those?
We have all scores. We looked at it for 3 or higher. I don't have the data here in
Just
front
somewhere
of me.
along the line, if we can, just.
I can get that for you.
Yeah, somewhere just to present to the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, in the new year, it doesn't matter, just because I know from perspective, knowing some of the universities are now only taking a 5, saying that's all that they were going to count or not count, not necessarily for the student to always exempt out of those classes, because when you exempt out of a class, that might have given you an opportunity to get a high grade and, pad your GPA, and now you're going to the second level class, and now you might struggle because you haven't taken the first level class at a college level to exempt out. So, there's a whole role there. It just would be interesting because I know a lot of the universities no longer are taking 3s, that they're taking 4s, or a lot of them are only taking 5s.
Yes.
So
Well, we have that data. I don't
just
have it
figure
here,
somewhere,
but I can present
it'd be
that.
interesting to see how that splits out.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions on the building presentations?
I guess I have one, and I don't know if this is, again, building level or, higher up, but in going through all this data and looking at all this, is there things you're looking that will, or in talking to staff, is there things that we can do as far as bringing things to the table, paras, supplemental things, material, professional development, like, is there things, as you go through it and looking at this as well, like, what do you think for us to know about?
So I would just say thank you. We asked for the gold standard in math programs, and you didn't bat an eye and you approved it. So I think right now our teachers need the time to be able to work through it. The first year with a new program is always challenging. And I appreciate so much that you are allowing us to have someone in to work with our teachers and help them through it, because not only are they learning a new program, it's new curriculum. We know that our math curriculum was still based on the old standards from years ago. The same thing with our ELA curriculum. It was from 2008 when the standards were different. So, and then science, the same thing, even though we didn't talk very much about science today, those standards are brand new. So it really is going to take time because it wasn't what we were doing in the past. And so we need to help our teachers work through the new programming that they have. We need to continue to support them with having people be able to come in and work with them. I just was talking to our high school principals today, and we'll be doing the same tomorrow with middle school and elementary school, to say, you know, let's start going into classrooms and seeing what we're seeing, and then have a conversation afterward about what we're seeing, and not necessarily from an evaluative standpoint, but just see what's actually happening in the classroom so we can even better support our teachers, because it's a big, and I know I've said this, I think this will be the third time, it's a heavy lift for them. It's a lot to take on. You know, I really feel for our K1 and 2 teachers who have had 3 new curriculum and 3 new, you know, a new ELA program, a new math program, and a new science program in 2 years. I mean, that's a lot. And our 3rd and 4th grade teachers and 5th grade teachers have have math and have science, and are teaching that and have new things. So, you know, we just really need to just support them in what they're doing. And it's important for me that I'm listening, and I am attending all of those sessions. Our principals are attending those sessions to hear what the teachers have to say, so that we can help if there's something that they need, that we can, you know, lend our support, or at least be able to say, okay, like, let me help you work through this issue that you might be having, so that, you know, we can be successful, because, you know, we have the right materials, so we just want to be able to use them for the betterment of our students, because we know our students can do it. And I think that's really important too, is that, you know, we have wonderful, wonderful students at Schuylkill Valley, so, you know, we just want to support them with all of the things that we have, and we have great teachers, and we want to be able to support them so that they can deliver wonderful instruction to our kids.
One more question, Jenny.
Yep.
Can we explain, or do we have any reasoning as to why, so in middle school, math was not meeting, but language arts was, but then high school it flipped, that language arts was not meeting, but math was. So where's the disconnect there? Because if our kids were on the right track in language arts, and then they fell off a cliff, and vice versa, they, you know, were not on the right track with math, but then they did. Are the standards different, or is something else going on that they're not aligning?
So what I will say is the high school data is actually very different than the data that you see for elementary and middle school. So with high school, because those students are taking the Keystone exam, that data is strictly for the 11th grade class in that school year. So our current seniors right now, that data that you saw from the high school is all of their data. So that's how those seniors, those kids that are seniors right now, that's how they did. So we didn't implement new English resources, and we didn't write new curriculum for them until for this current year. So we stopped at grade 10 when we implemented everything last year, and then last year we wrote 11 and 12, and they got new resources. So that data that you're seeing for ELA does not reflect new curriculum or new resources. That was new for them. That is new for them now. So the students who are in 11th grade right now, they had the new resources. So when Mrs. Godfring said that we should see improvement in that next year, we should, because they had the new curriculum and resources last year as 10th graders. For math, it is very interesting. Again, that data is data for those students in Algebra 1. So that's actually a combination of when they took that Keystone. So that could be, back then, that was when we only had that small group of students, about a third of the 8th grade taking Algebra 1. So it's those scores plus the scores of the students that are seniors now when they took Algebra 1 as 9th graders. So it's a combination of those two things. It's hard to say, other than I know we've implemented some remediation things in the high school. We had, a couple years ago, we had students in their study hall going for extra help in the subject areas if they hadn't passed their Keystone. So we did spend extra time with those students in trying to get them caught up so that they could take that Keystone again and pass it. The other thing I will say is that we've actually stopped the practice of making kids take the Keystone over and over and over and over again. Kids can take it as many times as you want them to and as they want to. But one of the things, and Dr. Winters and I were having this conversation today, one of the things that is frustrating, I think, for our students is that they know that they have to meet that Act 158 requirement. So if a student has already met that, they don't want to take the Keystone exam again. So, and if they go to BCTC, often they don't put very much effort into that Keystone exam because they know that by going to BCTC, they're going to take the NOCTI, and that's where their passion is. So they know that they're going to do well, and that counts for Act 158. And they need Act 158 to graduate. So they take it, often our students will take it the first time, and then they really, they're really not a fan of having to take it again. So we do require at the high school level that they take it one additional time if they don't pass it the first time. But back when the students who are seniors now were going through that testing cycle, we had them take it 3, 4, 5 times. So I don't think that that was a good practice. I think we thought that it would be good because we really believed that our students could pass it, but not thinking about the fact that over testing is not good, and that once they knew they could meet the Act 158 requirement without passing the Keystone, a lot of them kind of gave up on the Keystone and said, we're not doing this anymore. So, but to answer your question for the group of seniors now and the data that you saw and that it's green, I think that that says a lot for all of the work that our teachers in 8th grade and in the high school put into that Algebra 1 and providing that extra remediation during study hall, even when kids didn't want to do it. They still went and they did it and got that extra practice. And so they were able to grow with their scores. I know this past year, although it doesn't reflect in this data, we implemented that semester-long Algebra 1 course for students who didn't pass their Keystone the first time in 8th grade. And every one of the students who took that course increased their score. So they may not have passed the Keystone in the end, but every one of them grew and increased their score. So that extra time with them is really valuable. It's just a matter of getting them to the place where they are able to pass that Keystone exam.
And do we have any other metrics besides the Keystone, besides a standardized test that we're tracking internally?
So up until now, we didn't. Now we do because we have the new math materials. Our Mr. Wysotsky at the high school always uses the CDT, which is the diagnostic test that comes from the state. So he would give that a few times a year to see where students are. So, and the 8th grade math teachers do that too. So I do think that that's a positive because they're able to give that exam 2 to 3 times. It takes about 45 minutes for students to take it, but it gives you a sense of where they are at different points during the year. And like I said earlier, it's written by the same people who write the Keystone and the PSSA. So it is kind of nice because it's the same language, it's the same kinds of questions. So it does give you a good sense of where students are. And because it's diagnostic, it actually will show exactly what students are missing, and then will give you suggestions in terms of helping them then to get those skills that they're missing. So that is something that our 8th grade and our high school algebra teacher was using. So I think that that certainly was helpful too. But we do continue to use that both at the 8th grade level and in the high school. So we do have that extra data. And then of course, all of our Algebra 1 students are using the new materials with Alex and then all of the online materials. And geometry is also through that same, it's through Reveal. So we'll have all of those metrics and that data for students as they move through geometry starting next year as well.
All right, because this is the end of my 2nd year. Dan and Frank are in the same boat, and like this is the first time that we've been presented with anything like this. So, you know, seeing that 50 in math, you know, does not sit well with me. So
No.
we need to figure out, you know, and I understand we got new materials and it's gonna take a little bit of time to ramp up, but we need to figure out why we got there in the first place.
Absolutely.
And then same thing, you know, with our current seniors not meeting in language. I mean, math and language skills are lifelong
Yes.
necessities. So we need to make sure that above all else, our kids are excelling in those areas.
So we'll definitely continue to share data with you so that you can see how our students are progressing.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
I just want to thank Mrs. Rexroad and the principals for the presentation tonight and for sharing all of the data. To your point, Mrs. Steinke, it is incredibly important and is a focus area for the district, and the work is ongoing, but we're definitely moving in the right direction and taking the right steps.
So we have one more presentation, the PASA PSBA presentation from Dr. Shannon O'Donnell.
Thank you. Last month, Dr. Tashner, Mrs. Lash, and Mr. O'Donnell had shared that they attended the School Leadership Conference from October 19th to the 21st in the Poconos. And I just wanted to be able to take a minute of your time to share my experience and gratitude. So over those 3 days, I participated in several sessions focused on supporting students, staff, and school communities. Some of the topics that I attended included supporting student well-being in an AI-driven world, Better Together, schools, parents, and students supporting mental health. My favorite, it was called Little Steps, Big Dreams, and that's launching your preschool. And so just to take a minute in this session, I had the opportunity to listen to the details of how another school district successfully funded and repurposed facilities to provide a full-day preschool program and the steps that they took to make it sustainable. And this session provided valuable ideas and expanding early learning initiatives that I hope to one day see here at Schuylkill Valley. I also attended a session on Trauma Smart Schools, transforming PA schools with proven interventions, creating a culture of learning, creating professional development plans with lasting impact. John Gordon, the power of a positive team, and Mrs. Lash, I know that this was a session that you said that you really favored. I did as well, and it was just the 2025 legal highlights. The conference also featured keynote speakers, opening with Dr. Christine Perath, who shared powerful messages about helping people and communities thrive, and Sean Austin, who spoke about leadership and continuing his mother's legacy and activism in areas of mental health. So I just want to thank the board for the opportunity to be able to attend that conference. And please know that opportunities like this are critical for administrators for collaborating with colleagues and innovative, motivated leaders, not just here in Berks County, but this was a statewide opportunity to collaborate. So I'm happy to be able to attend a conference like that and bring best practices and new ideas back to our school. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, to reiterate what Dr. Winters said, I just want to say thank you to the building administrators for your time tonight. You can tell the board is interested in caring and trying to help you to understand what's going on and then help work with you to have creative or good solutions to enhance our students' success in the future. So moving on now to 2.0, reports of officers and board representatives, 2.1, president, myself. I just want to take the time to personally say thank you to our outgoing members, Brian, the stuff that you brought along and your insight for the construction of saying, hey, did we look at that? We've had a lot of stress and drama with our HVAC systems and some of the lack of maintenance that historically has occurred in the past, and then we've put new systems in place and trying to get our staff up to speed. And like I said, I just wanted to say thank you for your insight. Enjoy your chair. You can sit and watch the Eagles, right? Coming on the other side, Paul Bendigo, what can I say? 12 years, we were on at the beginning. I took 4 years off. And you will always remind me that I took those 4 years off because of some work commitments and came back. I think of everything you've done as vice president. I think about all the negotiations that we did. We went through several negotiations with the teachers' unions. We managed to decertify our AFSCME union, which was important so that we could actually give our staff better benefits, better raises. We were getting poached by some of the other school districts. And again, Nikki, I just want to say thank you. Like, your heart here's in the community, and you brought it here to the board for the last 8 years. I want to say thank you. You had those lovely, I think we talked about it once, of all the people who sat on the Burke CIT, I think at least 4 of us have sat on that board. Not always the most stimulating. The director, because I had a question I had to ask her that came out of executive session, and so she joked with me that you're the only, when I was here, I was the only one who asked questions, as you can only imagine. But I know, like, you've attended, and it's appreciative of spending that time with that, and also everything that you've given to the community over the last plus 8 years. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. I know we've had a lot of presentations tonight, and it's already 8:25, so I'm going to move on to secretary, but I wanted to at least say thank you to our outgoing board members. Go ahead, Linda.
I have no report for the secretary, so.
Okay, 2.3, Berks County IU.
I do have a few things for that. We met last Thursday evening, and we went over the board meetings for next year, so those are approved. We also went over the project that we're doing to renovate the IU building and make classrooms there. So we were signing project payments for the projects that are going to do that, and for other buildings that will be renovated for classrooms. So that was done, and that's moving along very well. We had the news link. We said goodbye to 4 of our board members that are leaving, and 1 board member, James Ulrich from Governor Mifflin School District, has been a board member at Governor Mifflin for 32 years, and he will be going off the Governor Mifflin board. And he's been a board member at the IU for 14 years, so we really appreciated his contribution to the IU board, and the other 3 people that were going off appreciated their service to our board also. The Berks County school leaders advocated for students at the state capitol on October 28th and 29th. Our superintendent, Dr. Tashner, represented Schuylkill Valley at that meeting, and one of the highlights of that meeting was that they were advocating to pass the budget. And I would like to say that the budget for the state was approved November 12th, and also the federal stalemate over the closing of the government was on November 12th, so November 12th was a big day in politics and government. So that was something that the IU does every year, is a White Cane Safety Day, and this is for the visually impaired, and that was held on October 15th, and we have, I forget how many kiddos are in that program, but it was a good thing to have our visually impaired students recognized for that. And then on November, can't remember what day this was, the 9th, I believe, we had the IU COLA meeting, and Dr. Winters and Kristen Wallace were there, and we had a speaker from the state that came. Mr. Busher came, and he presented the state budget to us, and that was really an eye-opener of what has been going on with the state for our budget. And some of the highlights from that were that cyber charter schools will not be mandated to be set at an $8,000 tuition rate, but that deductions from what we're paying will be taken out of ours. And one of the things was the cyber charters now have to have wellness visits with their children once a week. They have to be able to show that their students are attending and try to eliminate some of the truancy that's going on in cyber education, which has been an ongoing thing. So they must be showing up sometime at their schools, and they must have a wellness check. So that's kind of a good thing for our cyber students across the state. Also in the budget, there's school safety and security transfers for physical and mental health, that money. Head Start was flat funded in the budget, and I think we got $74,000 new dollars. Isn't that what we got, Kristen? We got $74,000 new dollars in state money for this school year. So that was a very good, interesting thing. And they're getting a $10 million increase for student teacher stipends, which is, I think, a lot of money for student teacher stipends. So I hope our student teachers stay in education as they go along. And then I got the legislative updates. There were 28 House bills introduced recently, and 3 House resolutions, 18 Senate bills introduced, and again, they're only a 90% of those are never go forward. But one that I found interesting was House Bill 17, introduced by Representative Watrow from Schuylkill County and Luzerne County, and it was mandating cursive handwriting. I've heard a lot of people want this to be a course back in our schools again, and this legislation would require instruction in cursive handwriting or joined italics to be taught in every elementary public and private school established and maintained in the Commonwealth. So I don't know how far that might get, but it's now a House bill. And House Bill 1983, Representative Robb from Philadelphia County wants to establish Indigenous Peoples Day in Pennsylvania. It was introduced October 23rd. The legislation would designate the second Monday in October each year as Indigenous Peoples Day in the Commonwealth. It would not be construed as requiring an employer to treat the second Monday October as a legal or official holiday, or to provide paid leave to an employee on the second Monday in October solely by virtue of the designation of this date. And then House Bill 1984, which would be legislation that would remove the second Monday in October, commonly known as Columbus Day, from the list of federal legal holidays. So I don't know how far that might get. And then Senate Bill 1054 by Senator Tartaglione of Philadelphia, opioid antagonists in high school. These are the drugs that would require these are drugs that the Pennsylvania Department of Education, in consultation with the Pennsylvania Department of Health, would put there to develop a policy requiring each school entity to offer grades 9 through 12 to provide and maintain an on-site opioid antagonist, which would be like naloxone, in each school facility attended by students. The policy shall include guidelines that a school entity may follow when responding to a suspected opioid overdose. And then there would be people that would volunteer to be designated by the school entity as the individual responsible for restoring, maintaining, and administrating the drugs. So that was on there. And then we also got a whole list of school safety and security measures that are being looked at in legislation. And so that was kind of cool. And then in the budget, one of the budget things that was requiring the state schools to have structured literacy and having our staff, our ELA staff, to have ongoing professional development, and our new curriculum for ELA is structured literacy, so we are in compliance with that, and we are having our teachers take professional development for that, so we are in compliance with the new data for that. So that's all I have for that.
Thank you, Linda. 2.4 Berks Career and Technology Center. Just a reminder for our high school administrators that, we've expanded now to 2,100 slots at the BCTC. But even though we've expanded, which is between 250 and 300, that it's very competitive. We still have a waiting list of several hundred. So if our students want to try to get into BCTC, they need to try to get there early. There's actually a camp that's there for the 8th graders. So that's something for the middle school as they're coming from 8th grade and the 9th grade. There's a camp, and it's very limited slots, and it's open for, I think, 72 hours. They have like 10 days, but it's like in 72 hours, those slots are filled, but it gives the kids an opportunity to, to research what they want to for careers. A lot of our kids have an opportunity for careers. The campuses that we have, ones here in Bern are award-winning. They've produced a lot of great kids, have gone on for high success. The other thing, Dr. Winters, is to think about, there's a lot of programs that they've done just like the IU for artificial intelligence, and so they've kind of led that. As now AI is being involved in interviews and everything else for selections, and you think you're corresponding with a person and you're corresponding with a thing. Skynet or whatever Arnold Schwarzenegger talked about is alive and well, but we've had some people do presentations for AI out there, so for everybody who's looking at it and what the impact is, you can't avoid it. I'm not saying to embrace it, but you can't avoid it, but you need to try to work within the boundaries of it. So I know the BCIU has programs, BCTC also has programs, just for everybody out there is to take a look at that. One thing just to always look at is, like I said, we have the opportunities available. We've done well with taking over the busing, a couple of years ago, where we took the busing over because the busing companies were very predatory and they were raising their rates 8% a year. So they had come back through the districts and asked for us to take that over. So other than that, we've had a fairly flat increases. Our biggest concern, and I know Mrs. Wallace will understand, is with the health insurance. Our biggest thing is we've now negotiated all the contracts. So we're good for 2 to 3 years or 4 years. So the contracts are all in place. But the biggest wild card for us and basically everybody else is going to be our health insurance and what that's going to be. So that's all I have for 2.4, 2.5. Nikki, one last time, you're going to say that we didn't meet yet?
Didn't meet. Whoever takes over tax collection committee will get the privilege
in December of going for the end-of-year meeting.
Correct. The end of the quarter will be the next meeting.
The sad part is they used to have a really nice, once a year, they would have a nice meeting. At Christmas, they used to meet in person before COVID, and then COVID kept, and now they've did remote, and
it's
they've
all
stayed
online.
remote. And, you know, they used to have a slight meal with the Christmas. From what I understood, I missed it. The Christmas meal was always nice. Linda will probably say yes. Okay, well, they did that, so I guess they waited for you to get off the board. But anyway, thank you, Nikki, again for your
Sure.
time.
Definitely.
At that, 2.6 PA School Board Association Liaison, Linda Lash.
One of the things that was in the budget that I find interesting is that the Public School Code in Act 47 of 2025, which is part of the budget, they're offering certifications that allow educators to teach grades pre-K through 6 and 7 through 12, rather than only grades pre-K 4, 4 to 8, or 7 to 12. And this two-step certification is the kind of certification I got way back when, just the 2 steps. And then I remember going from the pre-K to 4, 4 to 8, and 7 to 12, which limits you when you're in the elementary level. You have to have your 4 to 6 if you want to teach all of the elementary grades. So I thought that was rather nice, and they're reducing the educator certification fees, making it more cost-effective for individuals to obtain certification, which I find a good thing too. So that's all I have for that.
Okay, thank you. One more, Linda, 2.7 Schuylkill Valley Education Foundation.
I have no report other than the reminder that the March 13th date for the foundation Red and Black event at the Leesport Market.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 3.0, persons who wish to address the board. Anyone who wishes to address the board will have 3 minutes to state their questions or concerns. Please state your name, where you live, and if you have a written statement, the board would appreciate receiving a copy. Per policy 903, at the conclusion of your 3 minutes, we will move to the next speaker or return the agenda. I see one person, Sally Horton. Thank you.
Good evening. Sally Horton, Leesport, middle school paraprofessional. Well, here I am again for the 3rd time to address the lack of an emotional support teacher at the middle school and also the shortage of paraprofessionals. First, an emotional support classroom is needed at the middle school. The learning support teachers and paraprofessionals are stretched to their limits. As our student population evolves to include more students with IEPs and emotional needs, adequate staffing needs to be addressed. In addition to learning support teachers teaching classes and pushing into math and ELA classes to co-teach, they are forced to handle and manage students with emotional needs. De-escalating a student's crisis may take an entire hour or more. Removing that teacher or para from the students they are mandated to support per their IEPs in the classroom. At times, there have been multiple issues occurring simultaneously, unrelated, but all demanding attention and resolutions. Due to privacy issues, I can't go into specifics, but it has become very stressful for the staff to not have an ES classroom for these students to retreat to, for a period of time until they are ready mentally and physically to return to their class. Secondly, the lack of paraprofessionals remains a major issue at a critical juncture. Again, with more IEP students and fewer paras, understaffing is a huge issue. The middle school, had another para quit, adding her responsibilities to the few of us that are remaining. I have spoken to board members numerous times concerning the low pay scale and support for the paras, with the starting salary listed on the SV website at $13.66 per hour. With all the responsibilities required of a para, that starting amount is ridiculous. The rate must be increased to attract applicants who could easily go across the road, Route 61 to Rudders, and earn more. Starting salaries for paras at other Berks County school districts are considerably higher. Hamburg, they start at $16.34 up to $23, starting with benefits and paid holidays. Wilson, they start at $15.64. This is all available on their websites. Governor Mifflin, $16.20. Fleetwood, $15.02. Conrad Weiser, $16.25. These are starting, and we're at $13.66. Brandywine is advertising for a lunch aid at $16 starting per hour, all considerably higher than here at SV. What are we doing? Why is the district approving hundreds of thousands of dollars on new curriculum, administrative secretaries, and a sports facility, while the para staff the district does have is not given incentives, pay increases, and otherwise to be retained? It is inconceivable to me why this district holds the paraprofessionals in such low regard. Low starting salaries, capping raises after many years of service, no benefits for new hires when they are the first line of defense for our most vulnerable students. Our students have mandates in their IEPs for support, and there are increasing numbers of these students and decreasing numbers of paras. Until this district recognizes this critical situation, our students will not be supported in the manner that they should be. In conclusion, the students' needs must be our priority, and the board's decisions and the school district's hirings must reflect this crucial demand. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Seeing no other hearing of visitors, thank you, Sally. We'll move on to 4.0. 4.1 Solicitors Report.
Just briefly, I don't necessarily want to bore everyone with the details, but there was an interesting decision that came down this morning from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court on the issue of the Sunshine Act and the exceptions to 24 hours notice requirement to take action. It's a case that had worked its way up to the Supreme Court, and it involved the exception that specifically would allow an amendment to the agenda. The Commonwealth Court basically said that in order to amend the agenda, it had to fall within one of the very limited exceptions, you know, imminent danger to life or property, or something that was de minimis, didn't involve the expenditure of money or entering into a contract. And the Supreme Court's decision actually disagrees with that. It says that the changes to the agenda is a totally separate exception. So it's an interesting case for those of us who do public meetings, and I wanted to share the results with the board.
So they're saying now we don't have the 24-hour requirement, or we?
So the general rule is that you must provide your agenda 24 hours in advance, but there are some key exceptions in the statutory language, and the one that was at issue was the one that would permit a board, by a vote of the majority of the board, to add something to the agenda at the time of the meeting. That was the one that was in question. The Commonwealth Court said no, that amendment language was only applicable to amending the agenda to address life, property concerns or de minimis concerns, and the Supreme Court said no, that applies to any agenda item as long as the majority of the board votes to approve the agenda or to amend the agenda, and the public is offered an opportunity to comment on that item before the vote, then that is permissible under those changes to the Sunshine Act, which came down in 2021.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. Is there any other old or new business for the board? Hearing on, we'll go up to 5.0. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mole. And, Jenny, do you still have the clicker? Thank you. So just want to share some wonderful highlights from the month of November. Just to, there we go. Eric, can that be centered over just a little bit? Or like to fit on the screen a little bit better?
think it's actually too large for the screen.
Yeah.
You bring it in, yep.
So, starting out, just definitely want to thank our district veterans for their service. And we had some special things that we did in the district in the month of November. There was a parade that was at the elementary school that we invited our veterans to. Mrs. DeMott, through a grant with the Education Foundation, secured American flags that were put around campus, including the thanks that's in the picture there at the bottom. And actually, that picture was taken by one of our FFA students, Ian Schlopik, who piloted the drone to get that picture. So really great stuff, and want to thank Ian and thank everybody for their efforts to recognize our veterans for their service to this country. Also want to congratulate our elementary students who participated in the Invention Convention at the BCIU. We had a team from the elementary school that earned 3rd place for their project Smart Suitcase 3000. So want to congratulate those students for their success in that competition. Also, just want to highlight Fall Fest and just thank our PTO at the elementary school and all the volunteers for bringing all that fun to the elementary school this year. It's always a great time, and the kids really, really enjoy it. The other thing that I just want to talk about just a minute is, for those of you that don't know him, this is Jacob Jordan, or Mr. Jacob to the elementary students. And he's a very gifted artist. And, you know, every day since the beginning of school, he's added at least one new picture to the wall. And they often have encouraging messages and other things. And so this is a snapshot of some of those pictures. As you can see, he's quite talented, and the students love his artwork, and definitely just want to give a shout out to Mr. Jacob for sharing that gift with our elementary students. Talk a minute about Career Day at the elementary school. We very much appreciate all the speakers that came in for Career Day this year. Students got to hear about a lot of different vocations, and it was really a great experience for them to meet different people and learn about different careers. Our middle school students, once again, got to experience 7th grade outdoor education. We certainly want to thank Berks Nature as our partner for this event. 7th graders got to go to the nature place as part of the outdoor education curriculum and this experience that they had this year. Also want to talk a little bit about our grade 7 primary sources, and the picture's kind of falling off the side there, but it includes our very own board member, Mr. Dan Weant. This was part of the 90s project at the middle school this year, and it was a great interactive way for the students to learn about the 90s and adults that lived during that time period and the trends and fads that were popular at that time. And as Mr. Weant reminded me at the beginning of the meeting, the flannel shirt is timeless. Even though we remember it from the 90s, it still holds in today's time. So it was a great experience. It was great for our kids, and we certainly want to thank all the parents who dressed in their best 90s attire for our students to have that experience. So I told Eric I might embarrass him a little bit tonight with this slide, but our very own Eric Favors, he took the time to meet with our Mental Health Matters and Soda and Bocce clubs at the high school. He's not only one of our IT technicians, but he's also an Olympian for the country of Ireland, which is a pretty incredible accomplishment. And he was able to talk to those students about his experience at the 2024 Summer Olympics. And he just discussed training at Garage Strength and the regimented schedule that he follows and all the sacrifices that he's had to make to achieve this great goal in the shot put. Even though his colleagues wanted me to have him speak tonight, I'm going to spare him that right now. But it is very awesome that we have Eric as a member of our team, and he can share this experience with our students. Wanted to just congratulate and mention our county and district chorus students for their success. We had 10 students that auditioned for county chorus, and they were all accepted, which is absolutely awesome. Ashay Caban, Michael Gauby, Andrew Kerper, Ian Lucky, Adeline Matthews, Aaron Raver, Selena Reedinger, Joshua Searfoss, Kendall Sterner, and Connor Quesenberry, and Andrew also qualified for district chorus as well. And, you know, I can share with you, district chorus, there were approximately 700 students that auditioned for that. So congratulations, Andrew, for making district out of the 700 kids that auditioned. That's quite an accomplishment. German American Day at Franklin and Marshall College. Our high school German students attended the German American Day at F&M College. They joined 300 other students from 12 different schools in the surrounding counties, and they were able to go to workshops and tour the college and participate in a lot of different activities. And they heard from the college's German professors and even got to network with some German students that are enrolled at Franklin and Marshall. So it was great that our students had that experience as well. And as we often do every month, it's another opportunity to, you know, brag a little bit on our FFA, who just continues to do an amazing job with our fall regional FFA CDE and LDE competition results. You know, we've got Lily Kratz with the dairy judging, and Riley Martin in horse judging, and Kira Stork in horse judging, and Ian Schlappick in ag mechanics. They also participated in the Agricultural and Natural Resources Career and Job Fair, where they learned a lot about internships and volunteering and opportunities. And they were at the Leesport Farmers Market's Fall Market Festival, where they volunteered at the pumpkin painting station. And so, you know, if you've been at any of the events that our FFA students are at, it's just an amazing club, it's an amazing program, and our students continue to make us very proud with what they're doing. Our PYEA club did Trunk or Treat and had a booing event right at the end of October. A lot of different community partners. It was here on campus, and the money was raised for a Schuylkill Valley student that's battling cancer. They also raised funds for Four Diamonds by flocking Schuylkill Valley yards with ghosts. And so certainly want to thank all the people that supported both of these events as PYEA continues their mission of fighting childhood cancer through participation and also donations. Also, our high school students got to participate in a Girls in STEM symposium at Kutztown University, where the STEM departments and professionals from local companies engaged with the students that were there about STEM careers, and a lot of our students left with a better understanding of fields, and some even won prizes as well, which you can see in those pictures there to the right. We had an amazing athletics season in the fall with many, many accomplishments. The only sport not on here is football. They have not posted yet, but the other sports are here. A lot of success in cross country, boys and girls. Want to make special note of Matilda Walborn, who earned 16th place at the state cross country championship and was 3rd overall for freshmen, which is a pretty amazing accomplishment. Then we get into field hockey. We had several students that were, you know, all division honorable mention in field hockey, as well as golf, you know, including Abby McCaffrey, who went all the way to states this year. We had several boys that were all conference and all division in soccer, you know, on the kind of on the backs of a great soccer season. Same with girls. Boys and girls both had fantastic seasons this year, and we had numerous boys and girls on both of those teams that were all division and all conference. Had a young lady that was all division for tennis, and then several young ladies that were, you know, like all conference or all division for volleyball. Tara Herstrit was all conference, and I'm sure we'll have some with football as well. So it was an absolutely fabulous fall sports season, and the winter sports season is underway, and you know, we'll be excited to share some updates on that as well. And then I just want to close with a few slides highlighting some upcoming things. The first is Winterfest, which is coming up December 7th. That's 4 to 7. That's here at the high school. And I believe last count, we are up to over 40 vendors. 50, thank you, Louisa. We're up to 50 vendors, crafters that are going to be here for that event. And again, a gigantic thank you to Louisa and to Melissa Manzer for their hard work in, getting all of these vendors together. I know many of you in the room attend Winterfest every year, and it's going to be a wonderful time again, and so certainly hope to see many of you there. Also, I mentioned this last week, but I just want to highlight again our winter concert series that's coming up. The high school on the 9th, grades 4 through 6 on the 16th, and grades 7 and 8 on the 18th. All those concerts are at 7 in the evening, and they're all here at the high school auditorium. Kids do an amazing job. If you have the opportunity and you can get out, we would love to see you there. Also, coming up December 17th is our middle school 5th grade Colonial Williamsburg open house from 3:15 to 4:45 at the middle school. Great time to see our 5th grade students talk about the Williamsburg unit. Related to that, Redware has started. There's going to be Redware tomorrow, and there are some other dates as well. And I get to go again and try my best, Mr. Mole, to make a better piece than I did last year. Looking forward to that. And then last but certainly not least, just want to mention the Connor Cleffel Memorial Count Your Blessings meal distribution at the Leesport Farmers Market on Wednesday. And thanks to all of the schools who did canned food drives to assist with this, very special event. And, I don't want to steal too much of your thunder, Nikki. I'm sure you'll share a few thoughts at the end of the meeting as well. But I did want to weave this into the highlights for November. So thank you, everyone, and that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we've been doing the 5th grade Redware program. This is our 8th year. We're towards, I think, 1,400, 1,500 kids that have done this, and a whole bunch of administrators. So some of our 5th grade kids have just a lot of talent. So it's really fun to see them doing that. The Leesport Lock House has their volunteers in for that as well. So it's a challenge for everybody as adult who comes. Are you better than a 5th grader? There are some that are just truly amazing with their ideas and how they put it in the paper. Mrs. Lash actually attended this morning so.
I am not either, Mrs. Lash, so I trust me.
So but, and then there's a lot of history in that. Mrs. Seymour, who was here tonight with the Christmas cards, actually is there for all 3 days and shows the kids how to actually do the Redware and come up with designs and ideas. And the kids really enjoy it. I think we always cringe sometimes when the kids say that this was my favorite class of the year in 5th grade. So I'm hoping that they'll have other more pleasurable opportunities to come, but they always leave and they always get excited about things that they do. So encourage people to show. Is there any other old or new business for superintendent? Hearing none, we're going to move on to 6.0. So we've had 11 items, 6.1 to 6.11. I'll entertain a motion to consolidate.
So move, Bendigo.
Second.
Second.
Good.
Second, Cleffel.
Discussion. I just want to, well wishes to some of our teachers and staff that are retiring. Some of the things, because we passed through on 6.5, the department chairs, just so everybody understands who our department chairs are for the coming year. Crystal Kamoff is special education with a stipend of $2,400. Jeffrey Schlott is mathematics at a stipend of $2,280. Lisa Schlott is science at $2,280. Jason Bagenstos English at $1,800. Jeremy Krills, Fitness Wellness at $1,560. Jessica Harley, Fine Arts at $1,440. Diane Hubler, Family and Consumer Sciences, $1,320. Eric Johansson, Technology Education at $1,440. Cindy Kohler, Business computer at 2160. Michelle Saucer, world language at 1380. Todd Whitman as social studies at 2280. We also then have, just a reminder that the 6-6, we've added additional extracurricular positions through some discussions. There's a lot more there. I won't list all those, but I at least wanted to list the department heads, so if anybody ever has a question or whatever, you now know who, if somebody wants to reach out to a department head, you can. Is there any other discussion on 6-1 through 6-11?
I just wanted to say thank you to the teachers that are retiring, especially Miss Carrie Stewart. I had the great privilege of helping out in her classroom a couple of times as a watchdog dad, and she ran a really tight ship. It was really impressive to see how well she got the kids organized and accomplished some amazing art projects in that classroom, and I really appreciated what she did in there. And so I just want to say thank you to her.
Okay. Hearing none other discussion, I'll ask the vote for 6-1 through 6-11. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. It passes 9-0. We have 3 items. We're going to do these individually, and we'll have probably maybe a discussion. 6-12, addendum, Assistant Director of Food Services position. The board is requested to consider and approve the creation of an Assistant Director for Food Service position. I'll entertain a motion.
So move, Bendigo.
Second, Lash.
Thank you. Discussion. Louisa, I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done since you've joined us. I hear the positive comments of, hey, we're going to do taste testing, and hey, we're going to try this, and the food that you bring to the special events is just appreciated by all who participate. I know you're looking to get this Assistant Food Service Director just to share the wealth, and there's other opportunities we have to go for grants and get some of the food supplements or things coming from the government. That has a very critical time to get there. It's, the first one who can grab it, we can grab it. I don't know if anybody, if you want to have any other words for it, or if, I know we've talked about it.
Louisa actually put a presentation together that's brief that I'd like to have her share this evening.
That's fine. I thought it was there, I just didn't see it. And she needs the clicker. Got it?
Oh, you don't have her presentation?
Oh, yeah, I guess you just get to talk then.
I can do that. What's that?
Eric, I'll send it to you right now.
Yeah, you could, okay.
Hold on, Louisa.
Okay.
I'll send it to you right now.
As that's coming up, Louisa, again, I just want to say thank you. Some of the food stuff, and I think now everybody has their favorite Louisa dishes. You're contributing to the mental health, but maybe not the health and wellness of the district, because
I don't know.
the mental health of your food, every good food is a healthy mind. But
Till they get that loaded, I would like
Eric,
to say.
Eric, I just sent that to your email.
hold on, go ahead, Paul.
I would like to say thank you to Louisa. You have really moved the food service department forward in a positive direction from some of the previous directors we had, and keep up the good work. Appreciate it.
It's collaborative. I have a good team, so.
It's a team effort, but they need somebody to direct it.
You might want to just pull that off the, Eric, pull that off the, which you're, until you get it up, you might, I don't know if you're going to hit something.
Yeah.
It's showing everything.
I can share a little bit while we're waiting.
Yep.
If you'd like to talk, instead of us all sitting here just looking at the screen. Okay, that'll save me some. When we get to the first slide, you're going to see two photographs there. And I always like to share my staff's successes and everything like that. And this year, we did a Thanksgiving Day meal at all the buildings. And elementary school went first, and then middle school had theirs, high schools had theirs today. But we set a record at the middle school, which is, it's like totally awesome. Stacy was on the phone right away. So with 690 students at the middle school, we served 450 students meals, just meals. So out of that 450 students, 382 bought our holiday meal. And when you see the photo, you're gonna see turkey, you're gonna see cranberry sauce, you're gonna see stuffing, mashed potatoes, a salad, cinnamon apples, seasoned green beans, an Oreo chocolate pudding parfait. So it was phenomenal, and they laid it out just like if you were like going to a buffet, like you could see the whole line, everything. So the students came in and they got the whole 9 yards. Like there wasn't many students that didn't say, I don't want this or that. So that was really exciting to see. They made pumpkin fluff at the high school today, and they had turkey cookies at the elementary school. So you can see by the way the staff is and the love that they have for the students and all their hard work, because we gave a lot of extra components, more than things that we needed to do. And that was a lot of work, putting all that together. We have three great supervisors. We have Jackie at the elementary school, Stacy leads our middle school, and Lisa here at the high school. But we have 20 other staff that we don't always get to recognize, that are super talented, hardworking individuals that put their heart and soul in everything that we do. I don't think people always realize everything that goes on behind the scenes. I know I had a woman in my office from middle school PTO, and my office is right adjacent to the elementary school kitchen, and she was looking, and I'm thinking, is she listening to me? And she's like, I gotta tell you, she's like, it's like really interesting what I'm seeing. Like she could see the ovens and how things just flow, and she was like in awe of that. Here we go. So there you can see, that's the middle school's tray that they had and how they had everything lined up there. I'm not sure exactly which one to push. This one? Oh, there we go. So there's Jackie, Stacy, and Lisa, our three supervisors, and like I said, 20 other hardworking individuals. And you saw Jacob and Dr. Winter's presentation. So what's the food service vision? Our vision is to nourish students, engage families, and strengthen our community through quality food and service. We're committed to increasing breakfast and lunch participation by promoting the importance of healthy meals and offering fresh, appealing options. We aim to connect with families through events like food shows, which is an idea that we have coming up, bringing vendors in that students can actually come in, possibly having family parents come in and taste different things that vendors, that where we procure our food from. Kitchen tours, and that's where I kind of got the idea when I saw that the woman there in my office, and she's looking, I'm like, thinking, people should get a chance to tour the kitchen and see what it's like and that dynamic and kind of understand what we do in the kitchen. Showcasing our dedication and transparency and care by expanding our scratch cooking capabilities and growing in our district catering program. We strive to keep resources within the school and reinvest the success of our students and staff by pulling, instead of putting business out, let's keep business in here and grow within our own district, So some of our current achievements in food service in the month of October, we served approximately 19,000 breakfast meals and 25 lunches. Elementary school birthday parties. Last year, we only did 35 for the entire year. This year, it's flying off. Everyone wants a birthday party at the elementary school. We have 37 already, and it's just mid-November. The Winter Festival that Dr. Winters talked about, 50-plus crafters and vendors. I'm kind of taking the lead on that because I think it's a great way to promote things within our district and also promote Schuylkill Valley outside the district in other areas by bringing people in and seeing what we have here at our district. We did over 17 catering events as of mid-November, just this school year, for different things. So what can we do to ways that we can support the growth with this food service assistant director? We're already growing in breakfast. We served over 10,000 more breakfasts as of mid-November as this year compared to last year. Summer athletes, you know, I talked to Jason a little bit, just briefly, and sports, so summer athletes, how can we feed our athletes during the summer? They come here early, they're practicing, what can we do to maybe support them? Support students going away and away games. You know, you're here all day, you know, you're leaving, you're getting on the bus, you're going to an away game, you're not coming back till I don't even know, 7 o'clock, maybe even later. I'm not even really 100% sure myself, but how can we support them? Catering, developing a guide, a cookbook, getting SV branding, getting what we do out there. Promote class trip lunch bags. I want everybody that's going on a class trip to have the opportunity to get a bag lunch from us. We can put a lot of components in that bag, and if they don't need it, they can share it or they can take it home where they might need that as well. How can we help promote classroom holiday parties? Can we, you know, instead of a parent buying something, can we supply that within our cafeteria? Okay, we know the food's good. We know it's, you know, we know where it's coming from and everything like that. So that's something. Support 8th grade camp, increase scratch cooking, fill in for myself if I'm not available, offer you know, the director's support, as well as supervisors. When a supervisor's not there, that person could fill in, would be a stronger key role. And there's just so much more. And that's just a picture of elementary school. They dressed up for Thanksgiving, and they wore like little tutus and turkey hats for when they served the kids on that day. So assistant food service director's role would be the food service director. Performance responsibilities would include supporting all food service programs, including all aspects of food preparation to the point of service. Responsibilities will also include training and providing technical support to new and current employees, helping to develop a catering guide and branding identity, and ensuring compliance with operational procedures. This role would also assist with food distribution, customer analysis, which we do surveys. We, you know, try to get out there and see what the students like. Obviously, they're going to eat. We want to know what they like. That's a key thing. Contribute to the development of marketing plan designed to attract students, parents, teachers, administrators, support staff, and the broader community. We're looking at ways that we can serve our staff as well. How can we, you know, offer maybe a salad bar or soup or something like that, even if it's only every Friday or one day a week to the teachers and things like that. We have some that come through the line now, and they say, oh, that, you know, but we want to make them aware of it, like as soon as they come on board, you know, here's what we can do, you know, here's what kind of lunches we can have. So here's what we come down to, cost versus value. That's the thing. Cost needed to fund this new position will be coming out of the food service fund and will not in any way affect the general fund. And over the past few years, there's been an excess of net cash due to the increase in subsidies. So the value would definitely 100%, 10% outweigh the cost of this position. I mean, we are moving in big directions, and we see, as a group, collaborative, we talk about things and we have visions that I'm like, wow, this is phenomenal. And that support would just be a key role in the food service department. And thank you. That's kind of what I have. I know that was kind of a little bit fast, but I didn't want to make it any later than it is. For you. There's some out there. There might be some left, and we bake them. Just so you know, we didn't go and buy that tray somewhere. We baked them. Yes. Okay.
Boy, the only thing I had to look forward to at school meals was the tots. So this is amazing. This really is incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. It's new ventured waters every time. We're trying new things all the time, and you know, all these ideas will just form in baby steps, and then we'll just develop them. And it's not things that'll happen like overnight, because we need to do it the right way the first time. I don't want to backtrack, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay.
Well
thank
done.
you.
Okay?
Any other questions?
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
I think I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor to approve the Assistant Director of Food Services position signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. It passes 9-0. Uh, 613, Addendum Employment, Kern Smith. The board is requesting consider approval of Ms. Kimberly Kern Smith, Accounts Payable, Transportation Secretary, at an hourly rate of $28.01, effective date to be determined, to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Ms. Stephanie Wolf. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Cleffel.
Second, Rossi.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It passes 9-0. We have one more, 614, Addendum Employment Co-Curricular. The board is requesting to consider and approve the co-curricular assignments for the 25-26 school year. There is an attachment. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Cleffel.
Second, Bendigo.
Discussion. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That passes. 615, is there any other old or new business?
I have one item. Based on the discussion we had from Sally this evening, maybe we need to review, again, our para pay scale. We did that a couple of years ago, but maybe things have changed. We need to kind of survey the county again, just see where we are.
The one thing I think is always critical is our pairs are always aligned with students, not necessarily with teachers. So we have to always make sure that we have to meet the IEPs, and if they're being
Right.
stretched somewhere else that they, will have a difficulty filling an IEP, then we have to do that. But, the pairs are aligned with students. So,
Yeah.
okay.
And just to
That
clarify.
doesn't affect their pay scale, though.
No, I'm not saying that, but they also said number. They said dollars and numbers. So.
Yeah, I'm interested in the pay scale, and like Louisa, identified that she needed a position and brought it forth and gave us a great presentation to show the need. I think that probably the building administrators should be reviewing their parent needs and along with the our special education department to make sure that we're able to meet the needs that we have. Just to always keep an eye on that to make sure that our staffing levels are where they're supposed to be. But I agree that the pairs travel with the IEP, not necessarily with the classroom, but we do have to keep an eye on that.
Just a clarification on the pay system for our hourly employees. They do get an increase every year until they get the top of their pay rate. And then at the top of their pay rate, they still get a cost of living increase every year. So I'm not disputing or stating an opinion on the starting rate, but we do have a defined benefit plan that we have done for all our hourly employees.
Yeah, and I don't have an opinion on what was presented. I just thought maybe it's time to look at it because I didn't know if we had looked at it across the county for that specific group recently.
Yeah, no doubt. I do have one other thing to add, David, when you're done.
Go ahead.
Just a clarification on, and I appreciate the comments you said about serving on the board with you, and I enjoyed it and stuff like that. But we did not decertify ASME. This board, over the past 4 years, along with Dr. Tashner, worked very diligently to improve the relationship that was previously just a little bit on rocky roads with the employees that were represented by ASME. And with the support of this board, we gave the employees the opportunity to decide whether or not they want to ask me to represent them with the school district. And we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary where those employees themselves voted to have ASME decertified as their representative to the Schuylkill Valley School District. So thank you to the board and Dr. Tashner for going and doing that. And I think the employees have been very happy with the pay benefit plan that we put in place and the benefits we included in it. And I think it's been very successful.
Right. And I didn't want to mean it come across as negative. It was one of, we worked with the board, with the union. I actually went to high school with the union president, and he was opposed to having it decertified. And when he saw the package, he basically came up to me and said, we never would have gotten this deal that you offered us to be, to be fair. So I said, so now, I teased him that, would you have changed your vote? And I won't tell you the answer because that's between him and I, but everyone that came up to me because of being at different events, just being appreciative. Our staffs, some of our staff has been overlooked for years. And we also then were fighting the battle of keeping them here versus they could go to another school district nearby and move over. And the contract made it basically impossible for us to change the pay bands until we did the action that we did, so.
That's
anyway.
it. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to 7.0, curriculum and technology. We have 4 items that we previously spoke about, 7.1 through 7.4. For consideration to consolidate 7.1 through 7.4. I'll entertain a motion.
So move Cleffel.
Second.
Amaro.
Discussion. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor for 7.1 through 7.4 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Those items pass. We have one addendum, 7.5, Lobar Associates Construction Projector Installation Supplemental. The board has requested and approved the supplemental statement of work as presented. I entertain a motion.
So move Cleffel.
Second, Lash.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to know when all this work is going to be finished and for all these teachers to have their, like we put them in and now they're not right. And I'd just like to know when this is going to be finished and up to date and all that. Does anybody know?
So I can speak to that, Mrs. Lash. So, so this is work that was already completed,
Right.
but it was not part of the initial scope when the projector project was done by Lobar. So although this is something we had been asking them for so that we could, get approval on this work, it's actually approval on work that has already been completed, not approval on work that has not been done yet. It wasn't part of the scope. It wasn't part of the original scope of the project.
So all those that weren't at the right height have now been put at the right height and they're all taken care of?
That is my understanding. Mr. Meissler, do you have any additional information?
It's my understanding that the heights have been adjusted for quite some time.
I
Yeah.
thought it had been
Yeah,
taken
that was
care
my
of,
understanding
but
as well.
Then I was like
Yeah.
confused by this, so.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact specifics, but I do know that the adjustment of the height was one of the major items for this addendum, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all of that work in everybody's classroom now is at the right height and the right equipment and everything, right?
Height was a problem. I'd have to double check just to make sure, but my understanding is that yes, they've been adjusted.
Okay,
And that was my understanding as well.
okay, thank you, that's all I needed to
Okay.
know.
Any other discussion on 7.5? Thank you. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 9-0. 7.6, any other old or new business for curriculum and technology? Hearing none, moving on to Budget and Finance, 8O. We have two items, 8.1 and 8.2. 8.1 is the approval of ratification of bills, and 8.2 is the Act 1 resolution, which would limit any potential real estate tax increase not to exceed the index of 4.3%. Entertain a motion for 8.1 and 8.2.
So move Cleffel.
Second. Thank you, Brian. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor for 8.1 and 8.2 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. It passes 9-0. 8.3, any other old or new business for Budget and Finance? Hearing none. Moving on to 9.0, Buildings and Grounds. 9.1, Vestibule Project Additions. And we have 9.2, the ES Vestibule Door Locking Hardware Fire System we previously spoke about. So I'll entertain a motion to consolidate 9.1 and 9.2.
So move Cleffel.
Second.
Stanky.
Thank you. Discussion on 9.1 and 9.2. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion passes. We have three addendums from the Landis Bonfetto Mechanical Group, the Customized Professional Maintenance Program 2 for the high school. 9.4 is also Customized Professional Maintenance Program 2 for the middle school. And 9.5 is addendum Landis Bonfetto Mechanical Group Customized Maintenance Program 2 for the elementary school. And this is the board is requested to consider and approve the maintenance agreements with Landis Bonfetto for building environmental systems at the high school, the middle school, and the elementary school at the cost of $9,448 per year. And this contract goes from 12/1/25 through 11/28/28. The next one for the middle school will be at a cost of $4,067 per year for the same time frame, and the elementary school will be for $7,247 per year, again for 12/1/25 through 11/28/28. So I'm looking for a motion for 9.3, 9.4, and 9.5.
So moved. Second Cleffel.
Any discussion?
Just a clarification for the public's sake. This includes preventive inspecting, testing, preventive maintenance, and annual boiler maintenance, and the water heaters in each building, and the boilers in each building, and hopefully this will save us money in the long run by identifying anything short-term versus having complete failures where we're without hot water or the other items that we need to protect the environmentals in the buildings.
That would be correct, Mr. Bendigo, and from a timing standpoint, it's getting cold already, but as we get on the cusp of it getting very, very cold, we wanted to make sure that we got these agreements, board approved so that we could get Landis Bonfetto out to each of our buildings and do the preventative maintenance on the boilers and hot water heaters so that they're working efficiently as they should, for the start of the winter season.
Yeah, this is a good idea. If we would have had this a couple of years ago, it would have saved us some outages that we had to deal with on short notice and have big expenses.
Not only that, they could tell you when it's like the system wear. So if they know it's coming due and it's going to break down soon, then you could plan accordingly budget-wise. So ask them to look into that as well. As each boiler or whatever nears its life end, have them give you updates on that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for 9.3, 9.4, and 9.5. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Those items pass, 9-0. 9-6, addendum UGI contribution in aid of construction CIAC for the proposed field house project. The board is requested to consider and approve the contribution in aid construction CIAC with UGI for the proposed field house project in the amount of $16,500. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Rossi.
Second.
O'Donnell.
Second O'Donnell. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. That passes 9-0. 9-7, any other old or new business? 10-0, student services and activities. We have 4 items that were previously discussed, 10-1 through 10-4. Motion to consolidate.
So move, Cleffel.
Second.
Amaral.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Those items pass 9-0. 10-5, we have one addendum, the County of Berks MOU 280194-26 between Schuylkill Valley School District and the Berks County Children and Youth, the Transportation Procedures Agreement. The board is requested to consider and approve the County of Berks MOU 280194-26 between Schuylkill Valley School District and the Berks County Children and Youth Transportation Procedures Agreement effective January 1st, 2026 through December 31, 2028. I'll entertain a motion.
So move, Lash.
Second.
Second, Cleffel.
Discussion.
Mr. Mole, if I could just share some information with this. So this is our agreement for foster care youth. This may look familiar to some of you. We brought this forward for approval last year, and the board approved it, but the county was unwilling to countersign because it wasn't coming due until this year. And so it's due January 1st. It's a 3-year agreement. And I have been in communication with the county and have confidence this year that once approved, it will be countersigned. But that's what happened last year. If you recognize it, it's because it was on the agenda last year. We just didn't have their signature. They wanted to wait a year because they could.
Okay. Thank you, Dr.
Yep.
Winters.
Mhm.
Any
So
other discussion?
Can you update us then when it actually gets signed? Please?
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on 10-5? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 9-0. 10-6, any other old or new business? Hearing none. 11-0, other business, go to the order.
I just have a couple things. I will make it quick. It's been very long. I just want to ask that everybody keep the Fleetwood School District in their thoughts and prayers as they've experienced the loss of a student. So please remember them. Thank you for the donations for this Wednesday's meal distribution. The meal is open to anyone. We'll be handing out complete turkey dinners, and then canned goods will be distributed among anyone that comes as well. And this is, since I won't be here next month to give this, I'll present it now, and then if somebody wants to add on to it next meeting. As many of you know, our young student, Riley Rezniak, is battling a difficult time right now. So the community has come together. December 13th, they'll have a Capes and Shields Very Riley Christmas at the fire company from 4 to 8. There's going to probably, I'm sure each of the districts will get each of the schools will get more information that you can present to the public and your kiddos. So anything we can do to help the family right now would be great. And then on a personal note, I just want to thank you. I've had a tremendous time serving this district. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. Can't get rid of me, but thank you. It's been wonderful to serve this district for the last 8 years. So thank you.
Okay, 11:00, any other business good of the order?
I'd just like to say thank you to the retiring board members. I've enjoyed serving with them. I've served with a lot of board members over the years. And I would like to say that each of these 3 people that are leaving have contributed a lot. Maybe not, some haven't been here as long as others, but they have contributed well to this district. So they will be missed. I can say that. And each has their own personality and own strengths, and it's been a pleasure. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate having you on board.
Anything else under 11:00? Hearing none. 12:00, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Cleffel.
O'Donnell.
And O'Donnell? I would have thought you would have said it first, Brian. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.